do is fight back. Need to do is fight back.
Well, a big good morning to everybody. I am your host this fine morning. My name is Samantha Renke, and before we do a proper introduction, let's go through some housekeeping. I want this experience to be as interactive and free as it possibly can be. So we do have BSL interpreters and captions all available. I really want everyone to be involved. I want lots of questions, and I want it to be a really amazing start to what is quite a miserable day. I am actually in Lancashire, and it feels like 2 o'clock in the morning. It is that dark. So, as I said, my name is Samantha Renke. I am your host. I am, I would say, a rather attractive blonde lady, considering I'm turning 35 on Saturday. I don't think I look too bad. I've got a lovely leopard print top on today with my very snazzy, very hipster glasses. But today isn't about me. It is about amazing creatives. So I just want to welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoy today's session. So what is exactly coming up for you all? Okay, so this session really is an opportunity to get a preview of some of the most exciting projects in development by disabled artists. I myself am an activist, presenter and performer, and I know how difficult it can be as a creative with a disability. So it brings me so much joy to be part of this session today. Today we are joined by four incredible creatives. We are joined by Nwando, Ebizie, Anna Berry, Jonny Cotsen, and Sophie Hoyle, and they were all going to pitch their work for us today, which is super exciting. First up, we have got the fantastic Jonny, followed by Anna. Then we're going to have a Q&A with them. We're going to have a short break, and then we're going to carry on with the rest of the session. So again, some housekeeping. You can type your questions into the chat box. If you want to raise your hand, so press the little button so you can wave your hand if you have different access needs so that we can see you, if you want to ask a question. But it really is about just having a really good time and getting to know these four creatives. So I'll be reading out the questions. Hopefully we'll have lots of them. And yes, so grab a cup of tea or coffee, whatever your poison is, sit back. And I would like to, first of all, introduce, let's have a look, who have we got? Let's introduce the lovely Jonny. I've already been chatting to him this morning, and I have got beard envy. I'm loving his beard. I just hope there's no food trapped in there. So Jonny, let's play your pitch, my darling.
My name is Jonny Cotsen. I am an artist, a performance artist. I'm also an access consultant. I also do training and workshops around inclusion, working with individuals and large organisations in the arts sector. I've worked with Dirty Protest, Nova Theatre, National Theatre Wales. I was responsible then for setting up the Deaf Theatre Club at Sherman Theatre. I'm fortunate to be a trustee with Disability Art Cymru, and they've always supported me as an artist. Before I became a performance artist, I was actually a qualified art teacher, teaching in secondary school. I left my teaching practice because I wanted to have a social impact on how I see what the art should be, especially in Wales. So I decided that I wanted to tell my story, and how I could tell my story through making work for theatre. I'm a profoundly deaf man. I was born deaf. When I was born, my mum was given the advice, do not let him sign. The solution is that you have to speak, he had to speak, and then I wear hearing aids. So my mum, young and vulnerable, she had obviously never met a deaf person before, and always believed the best way is for me to be accepted, to be normalised. So she got me into speech therapy. from the age of probably just when I was a baby or when I started talking. So I've always had to be therapy. 18 years later, I still have to be therapy. So I've been speaking for a long time. And within that 18 years, I've been having all kind of hearing aids. I remember back in school, but almost like they were like it was like a straight jacket almost, like these big hearing aids. But what was really embarrassing by it, of course, everyone's running around. I'm running around with this big box up and down, and very often they were dangled out. Of course, technology and hearing aid evolved over time. They became smaller and smaller. But I'm conscious of the fact they're there, and I'm conscious of the fact who's in the room. They're the extent of embarrassment. They're the extent of being a bit ashamed. They're the extent of wanting to be accepted, but yet they always feel like a bit of an outsider because of these things you wear, and also the way I speak. But as I've got older, I'm more embraced with my deaf identity. There is that thing about hearing aid you did, kind of almost like feel like we're in the middle. So you've got the hearing world over there, you've got the deaf world pretty much there, and then you've got almost feel like, where do I belong? The work I like to develop is HHA, hearing aid. I came up with the idea after responding to my show, which is Loud, It's Not Always Clearer. I proposed the idea to Unlimited about creating a hearing aid for hearing people. I see HHA being an immersive piece for the hearing audience to experience how I experience noise, how I experience being in society and dealing with it. So that's what I think HHA is there for. It's about getting the audience or to become part of that journey. During the Unlimited R&D for HHA, we spent quite a long time thinking about identity, thinking about deaf history, thinking about communication. Things that come to my mind is empathetic, vulnerability, space, movement, visual, sound, all of those things, and I could bring all of them together and place that onto an audience. The R&D was a journey, an artistic journey that I wanted. I feel now the next step is thinking about what it is that technology can do. We spent quite a long time doing some audio sound, although it's a bit irrelevant to me that we tested out on other people with the combination of different sound in the way how we move. I like to work on that a little bit more. I worked with a brilliant designer who was thinking a little bit more about the product, what it could be. Although we didn't come up with a prototype or anything, she did illustration and some drawing what we think that it could be, and whether it's something that they could wear in their ear or is it something they could hold. So I like to spend the next phase of the HHA working on that. I'm keen to use HHA as more of a creative exploration, that it takes you out of the norm of what the theatre space. But I think now it's more about, let's get out this theatre space. And of course, with the unpredictable things that's happening around venue, so it could work in an exhibition space, it could work outside. This could also be explored at a virtual piece. I think it can be quite important, especially in the situation we're in now. So it's something that maybe could be worked in an online space. I think it's really important for me that the HHA go further because I want people to experience it. I want people to have a greater understanding that there are people who wear hearing aid. There are people that, like myself, who are going through this every single day. And it's almost like it's untold. It could almost be a vehicle or a platform to think a little bit more about how do we relearn to communicate? How do we talk to each other? How do we really listen? how do we connect with the deaf world and the hearing world. I've always tried to be ambitious with my work, to use my lived experience to get that message across. And I want to go further with it, to showcase it to a wider audience and do it in a really creative and exciting way. And that for me is really important.
Thank you so much for that, Jonny. It was a really powerful video, and I think what resonated with me is coming to a positive relationship with your disability identity. So thank you for sharing your journey. Now we want to go on to another amazing video, and that is by the lovely Anna Berry.
Hi, I'm Anna Berry and I'm here to talk to you about my piece Breathing Room. It's an immersive kinetic installation and I'll just show you the wee film we've made to give you a sense of it. That gives you a quick sense of what the piece will be. This is the prototype. The prototype is a quarter of the whole thing, so the final piece is very big. I'll come back to that, but first I'll give you a quick background of the history and development of the piece. So like a lot of my work, it started out as quite a political piece. I make quite a lot of work about the individual's relationship to capitalism. And one of the things I come back to is ownership of public space, and particularly in relation to Milton Keynes, where I live. The piece was commissioned in 2014 by MK Fringe, and it was in the shopping centre. There's lots of issues with public space in MK. Commercial pressures mean that things have somehow managed to get built that betrayed the original planner's vision. And much of the public space isn't at all public, it's very commercial. You can't gather or play music or give a talk. You can only be there if you're selling or buying. So I made quite a subversive piece, and to their credit, the shopping centre were very good sports about it. And I collected donated used paper from individuals, charities, community groups and small businesses. And I created this living, breathing representation of the community in the shop unit. I'll just flick through another couple of pics. And here's a quick sense of the movement. And here's a quick sense of the inside. And it was really inspiring, actually. There were kids who gave me their GCSE stuff because they'd finished with it, and some guy gave me a copy of his degree certificate. There was all kinds of things in there. And then randomly I also got loads of donations from the Labour Party in Milton Keynes, which led to the really kind of left field experience of meeting Ed Miliband because he was in town. And he was like super tall, like lurch tall, which I hadn't gotten that from TV. So I was like really tongue-tied interacting with him because all I could think of was like, you're the wrong height. Anyway, from there I got the unlimited commission to R&D that piece into something quite different, something that wasn't ephemeral, so quite antithetical to most of my practice, something that was tourable, durable, modular, weatherproof, etc. And I collaborated with local artist and engineer Clive Doherty, and throughout 2017 we came up with the prototype that you can see in the film. And we were able to showcase that both at the Southbank Centre and the Attenborough Centre, and we've also taken it to First Sight in Colchester. By this time it's been abstracted from the overtly political beginnings, and the focus is now more on the otherworldly sensory experience. And the common thread is that it's still very much about changing space and changing our experience of the space around us. Then things got super real, and I paired up with lovely producer Kate McStraw, and we went for it, and we got the unlimited commission to make and tour the full piece. So now it's me, Clive the collaborator, Kate the producer, Matt the production manager, Martin and the fabricators, all making this huge thing, supported by Unlimited, with funding from Arts Council England, co-commissioned by Milton Keynes International Festival, and in partnership with 101 Creation Space, and with support by Festive Road. So lots of stakeholders. The full piece is 4 of the modules that you can see now, and they can configure in various ways to fit different site footprints, and presenters can choose to show 2 or 3 or 4 of the modules as suits them. It's suitable for indoors and outdoor spaces, any public space really, courtyards, galleries. It's waterproof and fireproof. It's shown at its best lit, and there's an integral barrier system, which you can't see in the video because we hadn't built it then. The piece was co-commissioned by and was post-premiere at Milton Keynes International Festival last July, but obviously the festival was cancelled, and we're pleased to finally be able to show it this year. These are some quotes from the audience responses. Amazing, incredible, I've never seen anything like this before, it's alive, remarkable, I've been before and come back because I love it, I've told my friends to visit, it's magic, it should be in a place where more people see it, it should be in the Baltic. The tech spec is available on request, and if you'd like any details, please contact Kate McStraw, which is katemcstraw@hotmail.co.uk. And if you want to find out more about me, please do chat to me or hit my website, www.annaberry.co.uk. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Anna. I mean, it was absolutely magical. I can even see someone getting married under that, but equally a little bit terrifying, if I could actually say that. But thank you so much. It's something that I've never seen before. I just have some housekeeping very, very quickly. As we will be getting into the Q&As imminently, I just want to make you all aware of how you can get involved. So please use the Q&A box to ask a question, or if anyone would like to ask a question on screen for an access reason such as BSL, please use the raise your hand function. I'm not even sure where that is, so I'm hoping you do. In the Zoom, so it is in the Zoom. And we can temporarily make you a panelist. Oh, that was a big mouthful. But anyway, let's get back to our lovely creatives. So Jonny and Anna, I think we're going to start with Jonny, if that's okay with you. I want to hear more about you. I think you're such an amazing guy. Your fashion is on point. And I think after COVID goes away, we are definitely going to hang out because you seem like my kind of guy. So if you have some questions, am I hanging on? Sorry. Oh, no, sorry. If you have some questions for Jonny, please put them into the chat box and I will do my best to read them out to you. Clearly not doing a very good job as it stands. I clearly can't read and talk at the same time. A bit useless this morning. I need more coffee, clearly. So please put your questions to the lovely Jonny, just about maybe his fashion sense, or about his video, which was absolutely fantastic. I'm going to be quiet now and give you time to type your questions. Anyone? Or maybe me and Jonny should just have a chat.
What?
Okay, so
talk about
yay!
that glasses.
I know, glasses are on point, and the hat. I'm totally, you need to send me your hat. We do have a question. Thank you so much. So the question is from Ellie. Hi, Jonny. What is next on the card?
It's a good question, actually. I actually started working, when I started working on the HHA, and I was really excited about how the net faded, and then bloody COVID came in. Then the whole thing just sort of gave me a bit of a halt, really. So I kind of parked it for a while, because I didn't really feel where it could go, because I wanted it to be very much more an immersive space where people could interact with each other. So, well, that's not going to happen. So what's the point? So Didn't Unlimited contact me, wanted me to pitch it. I got quite excited again, because it's a really valuable project to me. So where do I do this now? I do this, I want to develop kind of it's almost like I want to develop the narrative in a way that what it is that I wanted to do. I still haven't quite sure, because I was so focused on the technology, and because I really believe the technology was really the answer, but there were a lot of complications with the technology. I still do believe it, but maybe it's more about thinking about the narrative, the artistic vision behind it. So I think the next thing for me is to maybe work with, could be a dramaturgy or a director, to really help me to shape that.
Oh, we've got a question here. Sorry about that. We do have a question. This is anonymous, but it says, Jonny, do you ever find that your capacity in between the hearing and deaf world causes creative tension in your work? How do you or do not tackle that?
Yeah, definitely. It's an interesting one, because although I do understand sign language, I'm very much my preference would be speaking. So it's almost like trying to find the acceptance of pretty much the both worlds, the acceptance of the hearing world, where actually it can make it a bit easier for me, because I have no idea what you're saying or what you're doing, but they accept me because I speak. And then I got the deaf world, where it's almost that I am accepting, but not fully accepting, because maybe I don't sign or don't sign well enough. So there is that tension. I see it more like a corridor, if you like, and trying to work out which door to go into, and it kind of like stuck in that middle. It kind of like I want all the doors to be open and then bring them together. So the tension there is very much in the middle.
Thank you for that. So we've got another question, and I hope I pronounced this right. Ayelis, I apologise if it's not correct. Jonny, great to meet you. Identification. I'm a composer, also wear hearing aids. It's a fascinating idea. Do you envision the hearing audience will hear in HHA experience? Thank you.
That was the plan, I think. It would very much, the HHA would simply was just a device, a hearing aid for hearing people that they wear. And the idea is that they kind of like use that kind of experience. It's not so much the deaf experience, it's using that experience to see how it is that can they wear the device and be able to communicate. But it became complicated, it became really complicated. So maybe I'm thinking now, it is the HHA, it's a trigger. It's like a platform to bring in the two worlds, if you like, together in the middle, and somehow there is some kind of soundscape, visual movement that kind of bring them together. I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of still blowing that. I'm just questioning whether it would always very much, replicating the hearing aid and bringing it into another world, and to question whether if that's possible, because a hearing aid is so different. We have high pitched, low pitched. I hear sound, I hear sound that other hearing aid wearers don't. So it's very complex. But if we could do the more I've been thinking about it, the more I'm thinking, well, actually, maybe it isn't a hearing aid. Maybe it's about just trying to work with how we interact with each other, really, through movement, through visual, through sound, and finding what it is in that debate.
That's really interesting. We have another question here from Abby. Hi there. Hi, Jonny. I loved hearing more about HHA. If there was no limit, so proper blue sky thinking, what would you imagine for the work? Or what would the dream outcome be?
Oh, I'd love to be an annex debate. I think it'd be that would be no limit. I would be an annex debate. It's so beautiful watching there. I know. I think for me, if there was no limit, I think would it be great if there was an actual prototype of a hearing aid, an actual hearing aid that people could wear and actually could, and here we go, here's the hearing aid, go out there and, really experience that, and then really think about, almost like to educate yourself in a way. You think you might know so much, but actually it can give you more of an insight of what it's like to wear hearing aid. But really, it's about bringing, maybe making it a bit more theatrical into wearing the device and what you could do with it. That's what I think would be the outcome, what I want to have if there was no limit to it. I really think, hope that I want to achieve that, but maybe it could be in a completely different way.
Well, fingers crossed that will happen one day. We've got another question from Hannah. I look louder is not always clearer, and you, as a part of that performance, do you expect your voice and personality to be part of HHA, or is it likely to be more abstract and focus on sound?
I think it's almost like the inspiration came from loud is not always clearer, because what what is it about loud is not always clearer? It's the journey. It's the journey of the audience. The audience come onto my journey, and everyone becomes part of it. And that's what I wanted to, or what we want to achieve in that show. And it's okay that I can't sing very well. It's okay that I can't dance very well. It's okay that I can't perform that well. But you're part of that journey, and it's very much like it's almost like a loud is not always clearer too. So so it's the empathetic journey that I want to get, and but really, you're right. I think it's going to be very abstract in a way. You interpret it in how you want it to be, how you see it, in the same way that I guess you interpret how you see loud, not always clearer. I understand it could be a very complex project, but loud, not always clearer took me 5 years to develop. With Mr. Clark, who produced and directed the show. So it's very much that I'm on that journey again and working with, I guess, a hearing audience and a deaf audience together.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. Now, I would like to introduce the lovely Anna. Thank you, Jonny. We can mute you now. You're done. Have we got lovely Anna? Oh, I'm going to get straight into the question. Have we got Anna? Oh, no, we are going. Sorry, we are doing an interpreter swap. Sorry. Okay, great. Anna, are we there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, hey, there you are. Hi. my apologies. We were doing an interpreter swap. So have we swapped over? I don't want to start. Yeah, all good. Okay, fantastic. So Anna, thank you so much. I absolutely loved your video, and I have already got a question waiting for you. So this comes from Rebecca, and it says, "Hi Anna, I found your installation really moving, provoking, and comforting. I've known a lot of people with respiratory conditions, and I'm recovering from long COVID." Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Rebecca. That must have been awful. I wonder how Corona has changed or not your own response to the work as it's grown, and the world's events have perhaps imposed a meaning on the work you didn't anticipate. What a fantastic question. Thank you, Rebecca.
Hi, Rebecca. Gosh, I'm really sorry about your COVID. That sounds awful. It's a really complicated question. I feel like it'll take me a bit of time to answer that. People have really different responses to it. Some people are unnerved by it and find it a bit uncanny. A lot of the work I make is sort of organic and mechanical, and it can fall into a little bit of an uncanny valley and be unnerving for some people, but also sort of beautiful and profound for people experiencing it. And it's very experiential. It's really hard to sort of give people a video in a little box in front of their face. It doesn't convey the experience at all. So even the original one in the shop, a lot of people were like, oh, it's like being inside lungs, it's like coral. People had all kinds of very biological thoughts and responses to it, which was really interesting. And a lot of people would come back again and again just to lie in it and just be immersed in it. So certainly it's been a strange kind of confluence of circumstances for me to be building this, and then COVID kind of making everyone think about breathing and that kind of thing. And it definitely has brought an angle to the work that we'd known it was in the mix, but now it's very prominent in the mix because of how everybody's feeling and what we're all going through in terms of sort of collective trauma with COVID. From a purely pragmatic sense, one of the issues is always that you couldn't have that many people in the work at once. And that previously, when people were looking at a kind of bums on seats model for booking things, was a disadvantage. Now that it can be a socially distanced piece, that turns on its head to be an advantage. So just the pragmatics of it are quite useful, I guess. Did that answer everything?
I think it did. Thanks for that. So we have another question here, and it's anonymous. You're all being very cryptic today. Hi, Anna. Your work is beautiful. How do you find light play a part in your work?
I think it's always incredibly essential, and that's partly because my background is as a photographer, and I am always very clear that you could make everything very, very pretty, but when you record it, if you haven't lit it well, it's kind of like shit. And I have to admit, there are times when I have made things that look a bit shit, but I've made them really beautiful because of how I've lit them and photographed them. So it's always something that's in the forefront of my mind. With all the installations I make, it feels like you do all of that work, and all of that work would kind of be for nothing if then you don't light it well. And then this work kind of takes that to a different level where the light becomes really intrinsic to it. And that's quite difficult in terms of a lot of the people who want to book it. It's for like summer festivals and stuff where we can't really light it and it's not shown at its best. So I want to push it most for things like light nights and some indoor showings where you can light things indoors. Because I think that's where it comes into its own. And we didn't start off with pitching it as a light piece, but as soon as I put light on it, it would just transformed like that. And I realized that what I was actually making was a light installation, which I hadn't realized before. So yeah, that's quite difficult to try and kind of pivot that in terms of bookings and how we pitch it. But I do think it's terribly important, partly because the piece is kind of 50% the inside experience and 50% the outside. So you approach from the outside and there's this kind of very hard skeletal-like armature of mechanics, and that will be very hard lit. And then you go on the inside and you have the opposite experience, and there's this kind of very organic and experiential and quite kind of trippy sense with the luminous light filtering through. So it's quite important on all levels, really, to the piece.
I know all about lighting. Normally, I'm like a Kardashian with one of them, a really obnoxious bright lights, just so that I look absolutely immaculate. It didn't happen today because I was wearing my glasses, and you would have seen you would have seen my secret, so I left it alone. We have another question, and this is something I can completely resonate with me. And this is from Vicky, and Vicky said, "Hi Anna, love your piece. Do you insist on your work in only it's only exhibited in wheelchair accessible venues?" I'm a wheelchair user myself, like Vicky. As a wheelchair user, this is a dilemma I face when submitting art for inclusion in exhibitions. That's a really, really great question, Vicky. Thank you for that.
Hi, Vicky. So I'm kind of an outsider artist. This is like still me experimenting, being involved in the art world at all. My background is really grassroots, and it was kind of me making big stuff and putting it as street interventions just in public space. So I actually don't have any practical experience of being shown in art venues to have ever kind of come across that problem. The only time I've shown was in MK Gallery as part of MK Calling twice, and I know that they're very, very good at their accessibility. They've got one of the proper changing rooms, bathrooms and everything there. And then apart from that's kind of it with like where I show my work. So yeah, I can't sort of give a proper answer from experience on that. Certainly in building the piece, we were really mindful up front that we wanted it to be wheelchair accessible, so at all points it goes through. And in the first venue that we think we'll be showing at in Gloucester, we were very mindful that we wanted it to be wheelchair accessible, and they've got a little one of those little special lifts. It's just like a sort of little square that goes up and down levels, but all of that stuff is there, so we've been able to make sure of that so far. So yeah, hopefully it will be accessible to most people. I'm also kind of aware though that like there's no access utopia where everything is accessible to everyone, and there are the upfront obvious needs that we can take care of, but there are also people who have all sorts of impairments that you would never imagine that can be blocked from seeing things for all kinds of reasons. And I think everyone does their best with access, but I think also there's a level of kind of acceptance you have to have that at some point there's probably someone who's not going to be able to experience your piece because you don't have an infinite sum of money to spend on the access, and sometimes access things are even in direct conflict with each other. So by doing something that offers one person access, you land up actually denying access to another person. So I mean, I know this stuff because I curated recently actually an exhibition. I was sort of having to think about all this stuff, and it's much less black and white, I think, than people sometimes like to think in the world of disability arts. But yes, I mean, ultimately, yes, we strive on every level to be as accessible as possible and to be as wheelchair user friendly as possible.
Yeah, and I think it can be very, very difficult. And I think sometimes just getting your foot in the door, you can then hopefully make change for the future. I think we've got time just for one more question. We've got Noah here. Noah, will there spaces for sitting or lying down designed into the full size installation, or is it more designed as a walkthrough installation?
So I think that very much depends on the programmer and where it's shown. I mean, from the start of the original installation, I wanted it to be a space people could just be in for a set period of time. And then with the kind of mentality of festivals, which has a very kind of count the numbers of feet mentality, they would often want it to be more of pushing people through sausage machine style. And I think there's also different viewing styles that individuals have. Some individuals will want to spend time with it, and other individuals will want to take a selfie and sod off, you know, and you've got to kind of try and cater for that. So I think one of the things we'll encourage programmers to do is to set aside slow viewing times where, you know, far fewer tickets are issued, so people can then spend half an hour in it if they want, and other times where there's a speedier flow.
Thank you so much. It is time for a 15-minute break. Go and nip to the bathroom, or like me, go and make another cup of tea. But we will see you all back here with our final guest. Thank you.
We start all over again. We start all over again, 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 again. start all over again. We start all over again, again. Look at the tree so cool, something so little and it grew so tall. And when the wind starts blowing, you give me breathe, you give me flowing. In the springtime, the leaves are growing and you start on something new. In the summertime, the leaves are green and the trees are growing and growing. In the autumn time, the leaves change color and it all comes tumbling down. And when the winter comes, no more leaves and we start all over again. We start all over again. We start all over again. We start all over again, again. We start all over again. We start all over again. We start all over again, again. Look at the people outside, fine in the sun, I'm gonna take a bike ride. I got the ice cream cone, calling my friends on my moto phone. In the springtime, the days get longer and the ice begins to melt. And when the summer comes, the colors are bright and the birds are singing and singing. In the autumn times, the temperatures drop and the people are stopping. And when the winter comes, the chilly and cold and we start all over again. We start all over again. We start all over again. We start all over again, again. We start all over again. We start all over again. We start all over again, again.
I never know that someone said that to me before. This must be the first time that someone says something to me. That was a first. Can't believe my friend said this to me on my iPad. Had no idea why she told me. I saw her message saying that she wants to write message with words without any crosswords. It was positive by being talkative, using initiative.
Know that you like me. I know that you like me. I know. I like you too. I know that you like me. I know that you like me. I know. I like you too.
She say that she likes me, still likes me. You see, no one ever tells me that they like me before. But this is the first time in a lifetime, in the prime time, the night time, before I go to bed.
Know that you like me. I know that you like me. I know. I like you too. I know that you like me. I know that you like me. I know. I like you too.
I said that I like her too. We still like each other, care for each other in a pair of two.
you like me. I know I like you too. I know that you like me. I know that you like me. I know I like you too. I know that you like me. I know that you like me. I know I like you too.
Grace, can you see that bird on my finger?
Oh, yeah.
I want to sing love rock song. Here it goes, nice and easy. Tweet, tweet-a-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. Tweet-a-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. Tweet, tweet-a-dee-dee-dee-dee. Tweet-a-dee-dee-dee-dee. If Adam would leave it alone, we'd be in a harmony. So why did he take this poisonous apple? So we're not free like birds in the trees. Now tweet, tweet-a-dee-dee-dee-dee. Tweet-a-dee-dee-dee-dee. Tweet, tweet-a-dee-dee-dee-dee. Tweet-a-dee-dee-dee-dee. If we looked around and see God's beauty, would it change how we feel? We have to smile at the sun and love one another. We'll be free like birds in the trees. Now tweet, tweet-a-dee-dee-dee-dee. Tweet-a-dee-dee-dee-dee. Tweet, tweet-a-dee-dee-dee-dee. Tweet-a-dee-dee-dee-dee. Hey now, hey, we are all the same now. Hey now, hey, we are all the same now. Hey now, hey, we are all the same now. Hey now, hey, we are all the same now. Hey now, hey, we are all the same now. Hey now, hey, we are all the same now. Hey now, hey, we are all the same now. Hey now, hey.
Hello everyone and welcome back. I hope you are well replenished. We have a new guest actually. My cat Lola has decided to break through. So that should be fun. Hopefully she won't jump on my laptop, but we'll see how we go. Okay, so we have got two more exciting creatives to share with you. So let's start with our first lovely creative, and that is the fantastic Nwando.
Okay, I want you to join us in shaking your pelvis. That's it. I can feel you jiggling, moving the air with the center of your being.
Hello, my name is Nwando Ebizie. I'm an artist, a composer, a curator, a dancer, a writer. I present podcasts and I've made radio programmes. I'm a creator of dream worlds and alternate realities. My work calls for radical change, accessibility as innovation. I want to challenge you to question your perceived realities. My inspirations come from my inner and outer worlds. A few years ago, I realised I had a rare neurological syndrome, and coming to terms with this and my own atypical neurodiversity, this directly inspired my work. It's become increasingly biographical whilst becoming more and more epic in scope. I try to reach out across the spectrum of neurodiversity through multisensory, intimate practice grounded in scientific and mythical research. I live in West Yorkshire in a small little village up in the moors and have performed and presented my work across the UK and around the world. Today I'd like to tell you more about my new experimental opera, Hildegard, Visions, which you saw at the start of this video, and also about my large-scale immersive installation and sensory environment, Distorted Constellations. Hildegard Visions is an immersive opera inspired by the works and life of Hildegard von Bingen, the 12th century nun. It's a multi-sensory experience of sound, movement, taste, texture and scent. I've long been fascinated by Hildegard. She was a Benedictine abbess, composer, writer, proto-scientist and mystic. She was not only visionary, but also uniquely for the 12th century. Her visions were preserved in musical scores, writings, and illuminated manuscripts. I wondered, could a possible neurodiversity have led her to see the world differently and enhanced her creativity? Hildegard Visions is both installation and performance, taking place over multiple days. Audiences will wander through a series of rooms, including a taxonomy gallery, a kitchen garden, and a communal area for writing and contemplation. I'm also constructing my own vision of a ceremonial bathing space, inspired by hammams and global bathing cultures. It brings together influences from the worlds of bathing, purification rituals from different religions. This will come to life at East Street Arts' Season for Change Festival in Leeds this April, before joining the larger Hildegard production. Finally, audiences will come together for a performance ritual. They will be singing electronic soundscapes, dancing, sculptural light installations, and ritual that connects us to the ecstasies of religious visions. It's vital to me that my work welcomes everyone. This means thinking ahead to anticipate accessibility needs, including a range of neurodiversities, disabilities, and language backgrounds. We will offer home care packages for those who cannot or prefer not to attend, with music, sensory objects, and instructions for a home care ritual. With support from Mahogany Opera, Hildegard Visions will premiere in 2023. Today, I'm excited to talk to anyone who's interested in joining us as a co-commissioner. Welcome to Distorted Constellations. I invite you to enter an Afrofuturist mythical landscape that explores what it's like to see the world through someone else's eyes. This large-scale installation immerses the audience in the imagined landscape of my brain. It's inspired by my rare neurological syndrome, visual snow, which causes visual distortions such as swirling colours, translucent dots, auras. I propose an acceptance of a neurodiverse spectrum as a radical way to make changes in society, so that all diversity is allowed space to flourish. With initial support from the Wellcome Trust, so far Distorted Constellations has been presented at Brighton Festival, Home in Manchester, the Science Gallery in Melbourne, and more. It also includes a series of rituals and events, including opening and closing ceremonies, panel discussions and happenings featuring local artists and scientists. Distorted Constellations also exists as an immersive online experience which envelops audiences in the sensory space of the work. The online experience has been designed on an AI game engine so that the audience can move freely through the installation and interact with it to discover images, sound, videos, and other rich content. Today, I'm interested in talking to anybody who would like to programme Distorted Constellations, either as a multi-day live installation and event series, or online, as a time-limited, virtual interactive experience.
Well, that was absolutely incredible. Thank you so much, Nwando. Can I just say, outfit goals, you're actually making our Jonny run for his money with all them fantastic outfits. Thank you and welcome. So next up, obviously, last but of course not least, we have the fantastic Sophie.
I'm Sophie Hoyle, an artist and writer whose practice draws on personal experiences of being disabled, queer, non-binary, and part of the Middle East and North African diaspora, and relating these experiences to wider forms of structural violence. From direct experience of psychiatric conditions and trauma, or PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, I began to explore a critical political approach to mental health conditions in terms of causes, the process of diagnosis, and the provision of treatment. Psychic Refuge is a project led by myself to explore mental health, trauma, and its treatment in Palestine, to produce a collaborative online resource and series of discussions. Overall, the project aims to generate dialogue between different perspectives on mental health and trauma, trying to bridge the biomedical, theoretical, and the personal, and bring in perspectives from grassroots activist movements. As part of this, I undertook an initial research trip to Palestine and had discussions with mental health NGOs there in December 2019. The main research trip and subsequent trauma-based workshops for Palestinian NGOs that were planned for 2020 weren't possible due to COVID-19. So the project adapted and shifted to this new context with more emphasis on the collaborative website and its accessibility and sustainability as an ongoing project open to future developments. The website draws on my wider research into Palestine, giving a short introduction and outline for people who may not be familiar with the political context there, and an overview of how politics impacts mental health and healthcare provision. Some of the main concerns for accessibility included health conditions that can affect how you navigate online spaces. So we tried to include alt text, audio descriptions, and tools to change the font size and contrast for greater readability. Another type of accessibility was linguistics, so we have the website in both Arabic and English. So we're collaborating with Arjun Harrison Mann, who is part of Studio Height, a London-based design studio. They aim to be responsive to different sociocultural contexts and explore the politics of communication. The text is being translated by Palestinian artist and researcher Ala Abu Assad, whose practice centers around exploring values of representation, translation, viewing, and reading. What is the research? Some main questions might be: why Palestine? Why is this relevant to a UK context? Why is this a political issue, and why is it a disability rights issue? Palestine has been under military occupation by the State of Israel since 1967, making it the longest military occupation in history. Palestine is both a unique situation, but also one that follows a historical pattern of settler colonialism. Why is this relevant to people in the UK? The UK has a long history of colonial intervention in Palestine, directly ruling during the British Mandate of Palestine from 1922 to 1948. And the UK continues its military and economic support towards the occupying forces. Palestinians face ongoing displacement, military occupation, human rights violations, and apartheid or segregationist policies which impact all areas of life, from the home, family, school, employment, and healthcare. Mental health conditions in Palestine, which constitutes the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, include depression, anxiety disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder, where rates of PTSD in Palestine are one of the highest in the world outside of areas designated as active conflict zones. PTSD is classed as a type of anxiety disorder that can develop when someone experiences or witnesses a traumatic or extreme, often life-threatening event. This leads to symptoms that disrupt daily life and the ability to form relationships with oneself and others. The effects of trauma can be lifelong for an individual as well as intergenerational, being passed on to children through behavior and epigenetics. Therefore, there's a need for longer-term infrastructures for sustainable care. The geographical fragmentation of Palestine by occupying powers makes it harder to organise and administrate a centralised healthcare system and for NGOs to deliver aid. There's also a lack of training and education on complex mental health needs, and very few referrals are made to existing mental health services, which means the majority of Palestinians with mental health, as well as other chronic conditions and disabilities, are left untreated or with minimal support. In January 2021, the Psychic Refuge digital resource will be ready, and a short programme of events has been organised to activate and respond to the website. The first event will be an online discussion on accessible web design with Arjun Harrison-Mann, who is part of Studio Height, using Psychic Refuge as a case study. Arjun is a designer, activist and advocate for dialogue, often based around disability rights and collaborating with DPAC, Disabled People Against Cuts, to facilitate alternative forms of protest for deaf and disabled people. As part of a peer response process, we intend to invite a small group of practitioners, around 3, to respond to Psychic Refuge, and these responses would be navigated through discussions as a group via Zoom. Of the practitioners involved, I'd like to prioritise the inclusion of disabled artists and Palestinians and the diaspora. An overview of these discussions related to the resource and new contributions would become part of the Psychic Refuge digital website. I would also like to invite a Palestinian researcher or activist working in mental health in Palestine. For example, Sama Jaber, a Palestinian psychiatrist who explores the political context in relation to mental health, or representatives from Wings of Hope Trauma Centre, Bethlehem, or the Gaza Mental Health Clinic. This could be in collaboration with the UK Palestine Mental Health Network. I'm in the process of speaking with Ebizie Collective, which is an open access resource, digital archive and curatorial platform promoting films made by female identifying filmmakers from the Middle East and its diaspora. It's run by Rasheen Taponi, an Iraqi-Irish film programmer and researcher. Though we may be able to go ahead with an initial event, we would like to develop this into a film series, and there are costs involved in this. In working with artists and filmmakers internationally, to pay the filmmakers involved, as well as the logistics of linguistic translation, contact and negotiation with distribution agencies, and obtaining international rights for the films. There are specific arts organisations in the UK with ties to the Middle East, but they're not often bringing in aspects of disability and health. The text on the website is relatively short compared to the amount of research undertaken. It was edited and reduced in order to be more accessible in terms of readability. However, it would be great if there were other opportunities to expand upon this, to share all the amazing research done and produced by Palestinian artists and researchers. A lot of this research is already shared on the website resources page, but I'd like to be able to examine it in more depth and have a more meaningful series of conversations. I'd like to invite more speakers, have more discussions, ensure accessibility to these events and fair payment for everyone involved. This would require additional funding and institutional support. Please let me know if you need any more information, and I look forward to taking your questions.
Thank you so much for that, Sophie. That was really quite powerful and thought-provoking, and I really hope that you get the support that you need for your project. We are now opening up our questions once again, so please ensure that you fill them into the Q&A box. This is from Anonymous, so thank you whoever you are. So let me read it out, and maybe Nwando, you can perhaps summarise what you've typed out there. So it says here, love the scale and spectacle of the work. How do you ensure the thematic clarity across the elements, especially since many are experienced unguided by the practitioner? That's a complex question, and I'm glad that you understand it. So I will let you take it away.
Yeah, thanks for the question. It is quite complex because I think, for starters, maybe thematic clarity isn't the most important thing for me. I think the most important thing is I take quite a neurophenomenological approach, or let's just say a phenomenological approach. So I'm interested in the experience of the individual and the community who come to the work, the sensory experience, how they meet the work with their own perceptual biases. And actually both the pieces are very guided. I'm interested in creating ritual experiences. That's, I guess, my framework as an artwork to be experienced, is that they're ritual experiences that people are guided through. So even if I'm not physically there, there is always guidance through the experience. So that might be, it might be me as the artist. Actually, so far, I have been very front and centre in both of the projects, although I'm taking a step back now. But there's, like, for example, in Hildegard, there'll be multiple performers. There's the ritual framework, which guides you in certain ways. There's the sensory elements, sound, light, smell, which can guide you in different ways, or even just like ritual instructions to be followed. Yeah, I don't know if that answers the question. Hopefully it does.
Sounds good to me. We actually have another question for you. And it says, hey Nwando, when is your work coming to East Street Arts in Leeds? So I think they're looking for a specific date, or is that to be decided?
Yeah, so that's going to be in April this year. And we're doing, so because the Hildegard project is very large, we've been creating sections of it over the last 3 years, in like, so sectioning off bits of it, and we'll be bringing the middle section of it called Extreme Unction Volume 2, which is going to be like the hammam inspired section, the ritual bathing purification section. Yeah, and that's going to go to East Street Arts in April. We think around like the 20th of April, hopefully running for about 10 days. But if it's not physically there, then there is a version of it which is basically sending out the ritual instructions and at-home care packages to people, so people will be able to book on for that as well. So yeah, April.
Perfect. Make sure you put it in your diaries. Hopefully, if we are actually allowed out of lockdown, that is. We just never know nowadays. We have one more question. Okay. Hi, Nwando. I'm wondering how you recreate your work in the home care packages. This is something I'm actually very interested in hearing. What are the considerations or the must-haves for the packages? I love being able to use home care packages to participate in events at home, and wonder what the process is for designing accessible packages. Fantastic question.
Yeah, I think that is a great question. And I think that, I mean, for me as a human, I'm just, as I've developed my solo work, I've just always been trying to make everything more and more accessible. And so I guess my theory around it is about the multisensory nature of the piece. So I think one thing is definitely about working with people with different disabilities. You've got to involve them to understand what's going to be useful and interesting and beautiful and life-giving for them, what's missing, what are the needs. But also working from a multisensory perspective, I think helps with that. So I think that, if there's one sense that somebody doesn't have, there'll be another sense that they do have that is perhaps more potent to them. So it's bringing in different elements that can excite the different senses. And first of all, I've been learning about the different senses, because there's quite often a lot of people don't know how many different senses we have. And so once you kind of work from that knowledge, you can be a lot more expansive. I mean, for this particular piece, it's inspired by so Hildegard von Bingen, who was an anchorite. The anchorite ceremony for medieval nuns in Germany at this time was basically a death ritual that you went through, and part of it was this purification, so being anointed with oil and water. And so that's something that I'm drawing on. A lot of different religious rituals and rites have that kind of element of using water or oil with the idea of purification, refreshing, rebirth, you know, the rebirth within a death ritual. There's the, you know, we're at home, we're locked down, there's a stasis, there's a stillness, we're in the dead of winter. Something I think really beautiful about being given something that can speak to a rebirth within that. And so there'll be a lot of consideration to scent, because smell can be really helpful for feelings of stasis, for any kind of like downward feelings, because of the way that the olfactory system connects with the limbic system. So I've always been really rushed in answering, like it's a really big question, but I feel a bit rushed. That's probably just me though, I don't think anyone's rushing me. So yeah, there'll be a lot of consideration to scent, a lot of tactile consideration, and a lot of bringing people to the awareness that they can do these kind of actions themselves normally. So it's the work that I do, I always try to want to open up people's minds to what they can do outside of the context of being in a performance and engaging in performance that someone else has set for them. Yeah, and things to make. There'll be things to eat, things to do, ways to move, things to listen to, things to see, perspectives to shift. Yeah, that's what the care packages will be.
I think that was a fantastic answer. So well done. I think you kind of touched upon, it's about asking the disability community, you know, what exactly they would want to get out of these packages, and talking to them, and then evolving it from there. So I think you're definitely in the right direction with regards to that. So I'm actually really excited. I might have to come along myself. I'm in Lancashire at the moment, not Leeds, but not that far. Close by. Have we got any more questions? Because I think we've got about 5 minutes left. If not, I suppose we can kind of say our amazing thank yous and to everyone involved today. Is there no more questions? Yeah, do you know what? I think I'm taking the stance now. I'm gonna a few minutes early, 4 minutes early. I'm gonna wrap everything up. Not one, because I could actually go to the toilet right now. Too much coffee this morning. I wanted to say thank you so much to everyone that participated today. I really hope that you enjoyed, and you got to go away today with a lot of food for thought. And I hope that you all, keep tabs on everyone involved today, because it seems like these projects are, that they've got so far to go in many, many ways. And it would be nice to, kind of follow that journey. I know that I will definitely be doing so. I'm checking that I've done everything today. So I think everything's going to be uploaded, so you can actually return to the conversation as I understand it, and the questions will be there. Can I say, Rebecca, who said that she has COVID or had COVID, I really hope that you feel better soon, and everyone to stay safe and well, and yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for putting up with me as well, and I really appreciate it. So I think I'm going to pass over to the organisers. Let me have a look. Thanks. Yeah, thank you for everyone that got involved. And yes, thank you so much. I'm just reading. I'm really not good at multitasking. I totally need to work on that. Lots of love. I am now off to go and do a ITV interview. Wish me luck with that, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I'm signing out. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Much love.